What is up, you guys? My name is Aubrey. Welcome back to the channel. Now, you guys may notice that HP is not here. He is currently feeling sick, so he's going to be probably not in this episode. But today we have a lot of stuff to get done. There's so much stuff to do with the van, and I cannot wait to get started. So in last week's episode of the van update, I had mentioned that while HP is handling the electricity, I'm going to be in charge of a few other big tasks. One of which is the garage, so the space underneath the bed, and the second area is the plumbing. Well, last night I couldn't sleep. I was up until like 11 o'clock, and then I was like, you know, screw it. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna do some work. And from 11 p.m. until 3 a.m., I designed our entire plumbing system. So I hopefully know exactly what we need to do for plumbing. I got everything ordered. It was absurdly expensive, but it's ordered, which is a good sign. In addition to plumbing, I also designed a step system that we're gonna implement so that we can get from the floor to the bed, because this is a pretty big leap and it's daunting to say the least. The third thing that I did was I designed the garage area. Now this is just a rough draft garage design, but I got this laid out so that we can get this stuff going in the right direction. That way, once HP is done with electrical, we can really kind of finish the project from there. So this is the garage area right here. This is where bikes are going to be stored. This is where the water tank is going to be stored. This is where storage is going to be as well. Now the idea right now is to put the water tank right here, our bikes right here, and then some storage right here as well. But before we can start putting up these things, we first need to put up the walls in the van, and we need to put the walls in this garage area. That way the insulation isn't showing. So we went to Home Depot, we got the wood for this, and now it's time to get the walls up. Okay, so this wood behind me is the wood that we're going to use for the garage. We measured the garage space, so now it's time to cut. Very rarely do things that I do actually turn out the way that I would hope them to have turned out, and this wall was actually one of them, which I am pleasantly surprised with. So you can see here, the wall is up. I like cut away where the beams are, and then I also cut away right here as well where the wheel well is. So this is what it looks like. I'm really happy with it. So the thought is we're gonna stain this, so like it won't be quite this like raw color, it'll be like a darker color. And then the water tank is gonna go in this area right here. So my thought is to kind of build out a shelf where the wheel well is, and then the water tank will go above. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think that will work really well. So now that we got this wall up, we just got to repeat the exact same steps for the other wall.
The next day.
So it is the next day, and I finished this wall behind me. So now we have both sides of the garage done. It's not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And so I was able to cut out like the AC and the wheel wells. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, all things considered. So the next part of the garage is we got to do something with the flooring. I bought this from Home Depot. It's like their rubberized, kind of like Plasti Dip. It's like a rubberized paint, and it says on the container that it works for RVs, campers, and things like that. And so my thought is if I put this on the flooring of the van, not only will it make it so that it doesn't look like it's just raw wood here, it will not only make it so that we don't have to put real flooring there, but it can also help seal up the garage area. That way, if the water water tank leaks for whatever reason. I was telling HP in the case of like us bringing this to go snowboarding, we take off our snowboard gear, it has snow on it, it starts to melt, it will help wick away moisture. On the rest of the van, other than the floor, the thought is to just use sealer, but I think using something a bit more heavy duty like Flex Seal on the floor could be a good route to go down. So that's what we're gonna do now. So you can see here that we did the first layer of Flex Seal, so this is gonna have to sit overnight, and then we'll do the second set tomorrow morning probably, and then the third one tomorrow night. I think hopefully 3 will be enough, but...
I think 3. I mean, it's laying down pretty deep. I think just two coats I think would be good.
I like the way that it looks though. I think it gives it a nice completed look. I think it looks good. I think it'll serve a really good purpose. And funny enough, my sister actually brought to my attention today that today is the year anniversary of us getting the van. A year ago today, it wasn't a year anniversary of us buying it, because remember, HP and I bought it, and then we had to go back a week later and pick it up, and my sister went with me to go do that. And so, yeah, who knew a year later we'd still be working on this. But yeah, this needs to dry, and so it will be morning in 3, 2, 1. So it is the next day. Granted, it's not in the morning, it's about 5 o'clock p.m. and man, it is hot, hot, hot today in Dallas, but the van flooring looks super good. I'm super stoked with how it came out. So you can see here all of the black, and to the touch it feels like it has like a rubberized texture to it. So it's like exactly what we wanted, exactly what I pictured. So now that the first coat is done, we now got to move on to the second coat. So I'm just going to rinse and repeat the exact same process I just did last night. I'm going to apply a second coat, and then I'll let that dry overnight as well. Okay, so I did the second coat of the Flex Seal. It needs to dry, so I shut the van so that no dust, no dirt, no grime can get inside. And so now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'm going to move on to another task that I've been thinking about a lot lately. So one thing that's been on my mind in the last couple of weeks has been the bike rack for the van. So we want to have a bike rack that gives us the ability to kind of bring out our bikes like a sliding rack, and I'm going to start the process of building that now. My goal is to be able to repurpose some of this wood that was used for the bed, so I'm going to see if we can make this work with this piece of wood. Now it's time to go get the bikes. So how this is going to work is I'm going to take off the tire of each of the bikes, and then I bought these mounts, and the front forks of the bike are simply going to mount onto this, and then we'll mount this onto the sliding rack. So I'm going to do a test fit now so we can figure out if this piece of wood will actually work. Okay, so here is the setup that I decided on. You can see HP's bike here, my bike there, and you can see that it looks really nice like this. I think that this will work perfect. It will leave enough space where they can be as close together as possible, but not too much to where they are crowding. I'm probably going to cut a few inches off of this board just to make it as small as possible. I want to make sure to conserve as much space as possible in the garage. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a board just like this, and I'm going to put it on each side of the bike slide. That way I can start the process of installing the hinges. So let's do that now. Alright, so I think I'm going to call it quits for tonight. I can feel myself getting frustrated, and nothing good happens whenever you're frustrated. So I'm going to call it quits, and I'll continue this bike rack in the morning. Alright, so after I got frustrated, I revisited this bike rack, and I think it came together nicely. So this is the rack itself, and then there will be the hinges that are like mounted to the side. Interestingly enough, Amazon only sent us one hinge. It was supposed to come in a pair, so there's supposed to be 2 hinges, but they only sent 1, so they're sending us the other one. It's supposed to come this week, and so I'll install that here once that comes in. But this is the rack. I basically just screwed it in and then used wood glue to also support it as well. This will work perfectly for our bikes to cover both HP and I's bike, and it will allow for more space in the garage as well. In addition, if you come over this way with me, HP's the cameraman right now, you can see the flooring and the Flex Seal that we installed looks super, super good. Like, it's like a rubbery texture to it. Like you can see here, like my hand isn't sliding. I'm really, really happy with how this came out. And so we just need to peel off the tape, and then this area will be ready to be stained. This is like the cleanest paint line I've ever created.
So satisfying.
But with that being said, you guys, I think that this brings us to a good stopping point for this week's episode. So this week we started building out the garage. We installed Flex Seal in the garage. We began the electrical, and you guys may have noticed some cabinets in the back. We got started on the cabinets, but that's going to be addressed in next week's episode, so stay tuned for that. But all in all, I am super, super pumped with what we were able to get accomplished this week. And even though HP wasn't really featured in this episode, he is working in the background getting the electrical done. And so in the next couple of weeks, you'll see me finish out the garage, you'll see me start the plumbing, and you'll see HP continue and finish electrical. It's like one of those things where I think the first few months of this project, or really at the first year of this project, things were moving super slow because the progress was very small, it wasn't noticeable. But now that fixtures are going into place, furniture's going into place, I think that it's moving quickly. So I am super, super pumped. But like always, you guys, I appreciate you. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell, and we will see you guys in the next video.